Did you ever felt like life changed in an instant, leaving you lost and broken? This is the story of Job, a man who faced that storm. Job's story is not just ancient history. It is for anyone who's ever asked, why is this happening to me? He was a good man, faithful and kind, yet he faced severe suffering. Job's journey shows us that faith is not about having all the answers. It is about trusting the one who does, even in the darkness. This story moves from peace to hope, but the path is filled with tears and honest questions. It reminds us that it is okay to hurt, to wonder, and to bring our pain to God. As we walk with Job, we will see that suffering is not the end of the story. God threads grace through our hardest moments, promising to bring us through. So let us step into Job's story. Feel his pain, hear his cries, and discover hope in the storm. Whatever you may be facing, loss, sickness, disappointment, or heartbreak, Job's story reminds us that God is with us. He is our anchor, our strength, and the promise that morning will come again. The night may be long, but dawn is just ahead. In the land of Uz lived Job, a man blameless and upright who feared God and shunned evil. He was wealthy, respected, and had a large, loving family. Job's greatest treasure was not his wealth, it was his relationship with God. He prayed for his children daily, acting as their spiritual protector. His life was full, his heart grateful, and his faith sincere. From the outside, Job seemed to have the perfect life, blessings, good family, and faith. But what happens when that perfect world is shattered? Job's story is about to take a turn, testing whether his faith can survive when everything is stripped away. It is a story for anyone who's ever wondered if faith can endure the worst. Job's world was stable and secure until trial came. His journey will show us what it means to trust God when life falls apart. Let us see what happens when a good man faces a terrible trial. Will his faith hold or will it break? The answer will surprise us all. In heaven, a conversation unfolded that Job knew nothing about. In the book of Job, chapter 1, 6 to 12, the angels gathered before God, and among them was Satan, the accuser. God pointed to Job, proud of his faithfulness, but Satan smiled, claiming Job only loved God because of his blessings. "Take away everything," Satan challenged, "and he will curse you to your face." God allowed the test, setting boundaries. Job's possessions could be touched, but not his life. The stage was set for an inconceivable test of faith. Job had no idea his life was about to become a battleground. Would his faith survive when the blessings disappeared? God trusted Job's heart, knowing it was stronger than any trial. The test was not about punishment, it was about revealing the depth of Job's faith. Sometimes the greatest battles happen where we cannot see them. Job's story reminds us, even when we do not understand, God is still in control. The unseen challenge was about to become painfully real. Job's world was about to change forever, and so the trial began. Job's day began like any other, but disaster struck without warning. Messengers arrived, each with worse news. Raiders stole his livestock. Fire consumed his sheep, and servants were killed. In a short period, Job's wealth vanished, but the worst news was yet to come. Another messenger arrived. His children were killed when a storm collapsed the house where they gathered. In a single day, Job lost everything: his fortune, his family, his future. The pain was unimaginable. Yet in his grief, Job did something remarkable. He tore his robe, shaved his head, and fell to the ground, not in despair, but in worship. Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. Job 121. Even in his darkest hour, Job did not blame God. His faith, though tested by fire, held firm. Sometimes worship is the only thing we have left. Job's response echoes through the firm trust, even when the gifts are gone. Satan's first attack failed. Job's faith endured. So Satan struck again, this time attacking Job's health. Painful sores covered Job from head to toe. Job sat in ashes, scraping his wounds, his suffering complete. Even his wife in Job chapter 2:10 urged him to give up. But Job refused to curse God. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble? He replied. Then 3 friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, came to comfort him. At first their silent presence was a comfort, but when they spoke, their words wounded. They insisted Job must have sinned to deserve such suffering. Their theology was simple: good things happen to good people, while bad things to bad people. But life is not that simple, and suffering is often a mystery. Their attempts to explain only deepened Job's pain. Sometimes the best comfort is presence, not answers. Job's friends meant well, but their words became salt in his wounds. In his darkest hour, Job found himself misunderstood and alone. The real test of faith had only just begun. Job was broken, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. He poured out his pain, questioning why he was even born. He brought his raw emotions to God, refusing to pretend. Job's faith was battered, but it had deep roots. He could not reconcile God's goodness with his suffering, but he kept reaching out. He longed to plead his case before God, desperate for answers, yet in the darkness, hope flickered. I know that my Redeemer lives, Job declared, and in the end he will stand on the earth. Job 19:25. Even as his body failed, Job looked beyond his pain to a future hope. His faith was not about having answers, it was about holding on, even with trembling hands. Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him. Start Job 13. 14:13. Job chose to trust God's character even when he could not understand God's actions. Sometimes faith is simply refusing to let go. After all the arguments and all the pain, God finally answered Job. But God did not explain Job's suffering or reveal the heavenly challenge. Instead, he spoke from a whirlwind, asking Job questions about creation, power, and wisdom. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Job 38:4. God's questions were not meant to shame Job, but to lift his eyes. He reminded Job that the universe is vast, complex, and wondrous. If God can manage the universe, surely He can be trusted with our lives. God's answer was not information, it was revelation. You don't need to understand everything, God said. You need to know me. Sometimes knowing God is enough. That is the anchor in every storm. After hearing God, Job was changed, humbled, and at peace. He realized he had spoken of things too wonderful to understand. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you, Job confessed. God then rebuked Job's friends for their wrong assumptions and accepted Job's prayers for them. After Job prayed for his friends, God restored his fortunes twice as much as before. Job's family and friends returned, bringing comfort and gifts. God blessed Job's later life even more than his beginning. He had more children and lived to see 4 generations. Job died old and full of years, his story ending in restoration, not tragedy. Job's journey reminds us God is a God of restoration. He can turn our deepest pain into something beautiful. Your current trial is not the end of your story. God is faithful and He will see you through. If you find this story helpful, subscribe, like, and comment. See you all in the next video.